What the fuck is up? Higher Point of View here to discuss NFL Wildcard Weekend 2019. I've been very excited for this. One day away, can't come soon enough. A lot easier when your team's not in it. Packed, we will be back, but we're gonna talk about that some other time. So let's get into these games this weekend. A lot of the close games, all of them should be close at this point. They should be because these are the best teams remaining. So, you already know, Purple Punch, by the way. We're gonna see what that's about. We're gonna start off Indianapolis at Houston. Both teams, they same division, so they played each other twice already. This will be the third matchup. Both teams won on the opposing team's home field. The two X factors in this I want to look at is T.Y. Hilton with the Colts. If he's to play like he has been playing against not only against the Texans, but he has good games at Houston. So if they could continue that, I think they'll be in good shape for this game. We also have a matchup of the very best offensive line versus the very worst offensive line. And this is not something that's changed throughout the course of the season. Houston, they were kind of slated to have a bad offensive line. That was what was said about them before the season started. So it's not that we were expecting them to have a better line, but they are the worst in the league. They started out the worst and they've ended the worst. Deshaun Watson has been sacked the most times in the NFL. I don't know the number, but he's been sacked the most times. Not only that, would be sacked the most times. Just because he's so dynamic, he's gotten out of a lot of trouble using his legs. And I've been watching highlights of both of their games. Just the Indianapolis games, he's had so many would-be sacks where he just swiftly made a move or got out the way. But how long is he going to do that? And when it comes to pressure, if the offensive line's so bad, you know what comes next. That's turnovers, whether it's strip sack fumble on a quarterback, whether the quarterback's rushing and throws an ill-advised pass for an interception, or he's trying to scramble out and lose his footing. And you know, so many bad things can happen when pressure comes, and it is inevitable that the pressure will come into Deshaun Watson. Now, they do have the best receiver in the league this year. DeAndre Hopkins, past couple years he's been very good, but this year he's flat out the best receiver in the league, so they're gonna have to deal with him. But on top of that, the last game Hopkins played, he only got 36 yards. That's not quite the kind of game that you'd expect him to have against a divisional opponent, especially, you know, if you're supposed to be the best receiver in the league. So I don't see that happening again. He's gonna have a way better game than that. So the Colts defense will have to worry about that. But I just think, and then one more note about this. The first game in Indy, which Houston won, it went overtime. And it went overtime, and there was a 4th and 4 play on the 40-yard line. On the 40-yard line where Indianapolis chose to go for it. Normally in that situation, you'll punt and see what happens. We don't know what would have happened, but what did happen is they went for it, 4th and 4, and they didn't get it. They gave Houston field position. Deshaun Watson hits DeAndre Hopkins for a game-winning touchdown. Now, is Frank Reich going to be that aggressive? Will they even be in those situations again? I think he will be that aggressive. And hey, we might be saying Indianapolis is a favorite in this game if they would have turned around and won that first game, because then that would have meant they would have swept the Houston Texans. But again, Houston Texans, they are a good team, and I just think playoffs comes, you know, the victories come with the teams who are actually hotter. It doesn't even matter about record or even where the game is. A little bit home field advantage, but it matters who's hotter, and Indy's hotter right now. They've been in playoff situations the past couple of weeks, and I think that helps going into the playoffs. And Houston too, but I think Houston peaked a little too early, and Indy peaked at the right time. You got a quarterback, and he's having an outstanding year. Andrew Luck is back. He looks better than ever, and with all that, I just got to pick Indianapolis beating Houston. It should only be by a field goal. I don't even think it'll be a touchdown, but it just boils down to the best offensive line versus the worst. And I'm going to take the best. And I think that right now, Frank Wright is a better coach than Bill O'Brien. So they got the edge in coaching, quarterback. You know, what else do you want to say? They just have to travel to Houston. But they got Houston's number, so I'm going to go with Indy on this one. Next, we got Seattle at Dallas. This is a tricky one too. Seattle won earlier this year, week 3. These teams are totally different. They won by like 10 points week 3 at home in Seattle. Something notable is that on the road, Seattle was 4-4, which they will be at Dallas. And at home, Dallas is 7-1. So you can't ignore that. Also, Dallas seems to be the better team all around on paper, offense and defense. Russell Wilson and Baldwin and Lockett, they can hang with Dallas' offense, but if you're just picking the better offense, you got Zeke and you got Amari Cooper and you got the other complementary pieces that they have. They're a better team right now than Seattle. But the better head coach to me is Pete Carroll. The better quarterback to me is Russell Wilson. So that has to mean a lot too. With all that said, the X factor for Seattle is going to be the coach and quarterback. If Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson could bring what we know they could bring, if they could bring their best version of themselves, I think they'll be able to win a close one in Dallas. But, you know, to hope that somebody's on their best, you know, it takes a lot any given Sunday. So Dallas, their X factor, I say, is Amari Cooper. He wasn't there the first game. And ever since they got him, the record is clearly a lot better. I don't know exactly what it is, but basically Dallas before and after Amari Cooper is definitely better after. They have him now. They got everything. They got a good defense, a quarterback who doesn't turn the ball over, historically doesn't turn the ball over a lot, and the best running back in the game, some would say. So where should you be lacking at? Why should you lose this game? You know, I don't know. Dallas, they've only won 2 playoff games since 1995. So I'm just gonna have to see them do it before I could pick for them. Even though they're at home, they seem to give up big games there. I mean, you know, Rodgers, he just goes there. That's Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. But anyway, they give up games there. So I'm just gonna go with the vet, the one who's been there, done that, having a good year, Russell Wilson, and I'm gonna go with Pete Carroll. In the beginning of the year, he was on the hot seat. He coached himself into an extension this year, and you got to give him kudos for that. And I'm going to just run with the Seattle Seahawks. And again, listen, this is not the Legion of Boom out there, but their defense is top-notch. It's not what they've been over the past years, but they have enough to win a game on the road in the playoffs. And that's why I'm going with them. I think they got a Russell Wilson. Again, Dallas' biggest game was against New Orleans at Dallas. They beat them. Drew Brees is not a mobile quarterback. So there's maybe a few sacks or something that he could have got out of if he was Russell Wilson. So that makes a big difference. You know, everybody wants to go back to, oh, they beat the Saints at home. Okay, that was nice, but Drew Brees is not that kind of quarterback. Y'all put a good pass rush on him, but you didn't have to worry about anything after that. Well, Russell Wilson, you got to worry about everything after that because he knows how to get around in the pocket. He knows how to run out of the pocket. He's a top-notch quarterback. And I'm going to roll with his experience and Pete Carroll's. Dallas should win this game, but I'm running with Seattle. I think Seattle's going to get them. Again, it'll be by a field goal. These are going to be some very, very close games. Next, we're going to go to the Chargers visiting Baltimore. Baltimore won the last game at the Chargers. The ending score doesn't look like it was close, but it was. Actually, what decided the game was a potential game-winning drive by Rivers and company. If they would have scored, I think they would have been up by 1 point. And I think the first play of that drive, Antonio Gates fumbled, and Baltimore took it all the way to the motherfucking house. So that's what changed the whole game that time. It was just a one-play thing. So that score doesn't show how close of a game this should be. I think the X factor here is obviously Lamar Jackson. I think everything the Chargers are going to have to do is just stop the run. That's all they're going to have to do. You think that's simple. Stop the run and make them throw. Because, you know, you're going to have to challenge Jackson to make critical throws. And again, this isn't regular season. It's up a notch. All these routes are getting ran and everything is a lot harder now. This is win or go home. So it's something that he's never seen before. So we got to see how he's going to react to that. On the other end, you got Phillip Rivers, a vet, and some people would say he's underachieved up until this point, at least as far as the playoffs. This is time that he can make a playoff statement game, and he can do it. And I think in order for them to do it, the wide receivers are going to have to really show up. We understand this is the best defense in the AFC, but you have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Travis Benjamin. That might be the best trio of receivers in the league. The last game, they didn't really show up too well. They didn't have many. I think they had one touchdown drive in the last game, and then they would have had that other one that would have won, but Gates fumbled. They had the momentum at that point. But they're going to have to step up bigger, and I think they will. And then the Chargers are 7-1 on the road. So they're a better road team than they are a home team. And if you're just looking at all the numbers, you would say the Chargers are going to win this one. That's why I'm going to run with the Chargers. And Baltimore, the reason why people are so high on them is just, I think it's because, you know, not a lot of people have film on Lamar and not a lot of people are familiar with Lamar. Well, damn, this is a team out of probably, except for his divisional opponents, this is a team who knows Lamar. They just played him 2 weeks ago. So what other preparation do you have then? And you still got that bad sour taste in your mouth for giving up that victory that you should have probably had if you would have drove and scored a touchdown. So the Chargers has to be feeling confident going in this game, number one, and also salty that they didn't get it done the first time. So for that, I'm going to go with them. And again, the surprise thing with the Ravens, where they could have taken advantage of all these teams in the playoffs, is no film and familiarity with Lamar Jackson. It's hard to prepare for him because you don't know much. The Chargers still don't know much, but they know a lot more than the other teams out there. They played against them already, had a competitive game. They feel they should have won. They're a better road team going to Baltimore. And then you have a rookie quarterback, actually youngest quarterback ever to start a playoff game, against a old vet, Phillip Rivers, who's on his way out within the next 2-3 years. I'm sure he wants some hardware. This is probably the closest he's going to get to a good team, a good team as this team was this year. I didn't even mention Melvin Gordon and Eckler, you know, even on the defensive side, Bosa, Melvin Ingram. I mean, they are just as talented as Baltimore on defense. Baltimore just has put it together many more times because, you know, they're better defense overall this season, but that also has to do with Lamar Jackson coming in. He makes the Baltimore defense better. When you have Flacco as your quarterback, the defense isn't as good. That's why their numbers wasn't extravagant the first 8 games, but the last 8 games of the defense has been a lot better because you have a guy that's holding on to the ball longer. The offense has a longer drive. Defense is on the bench chilling, so that's what's helped them out also. But I think the Chargers have enough, you know, talent on defense to compete with this difficult offense to handle. And I think they're going to do it on the road, and I'm going for them. Again, it'll be probably a field goal. But the key, if the Ravens were to win this game, Lamar would have to have no turnovers. I mean, none. You can't make any mistakes against this Chargers offense because they'll make you pay for it because they score pretty frequently. Now, they just gotta stop the run on defense if you're the Chargers. If you stop the run entirely and make them throw, or you go out to a big lead, then you should have no trouble winning this game. So I'm going to go with the Chargers by a field goal in this one. Last but not least, we're going to go with Philadelphia going to Chicago. Okay, this is pretty simple to me. The only reason the Eagles have a chance is, number one, kind of the familiarity thing. I mean, they played half the season with Carson Wentz. You know, not a lot of people. There's still, look, Foles has film, but it's just spots. He can play good for spurts. And hey, this is a good area to have a spurt, because it seems like he controls this team. Not that he's better than Wentz. It seems like he controls this team better than Wentz, and they like it a little more when he's in there. Definitely Alshon Jeffrey. He kills it whenever Foles is the quarterback. You seen that throw in the Super Bowl. You seen the throw in Houston. The damn Hail Mary it looked like. Not a Hail Mary, but a damn fair catch where Alshon just jumped up over 3 people. But yeah, they have some kind of connection. They are the defending Super Bowl champions, so you must respect them. They got the key places. They got key players on defense that could get it done if they play it at their full potential. But they are at Chicago. You're playing the best defense in the league. Not just the NFC, but in the league. They lead the league in points allowed, in takeaways. The only other teams to do that in NFL history the same year was the Seahawks, Legion of Boom, the 85 Bears, and the 2000 Rams defense, not Rams, the 2000 Ravens defense. Those are all historic, the greatest defenses ever. So they are on par with that. They were a top 10 defense before they got Khalil Mack. Believe that. And we know how big and transcendent Khalil Mack has been for them and what kind of player he is. So I just don't see enough from Philadelphia. It's not like they have Ajayi back there. You know, they got to deal with Smallwood and this other, and Darren Sproles. I was going to say this other guy. Respect to Sproles, he's a goon. But I just don't think they have enough. I just don't think they have enough. In order for them to win, they're going to need the ultimate team play. They're going to have to make 0 mistakes, and they're going to have a Philly special or 2 to get this. And as far as head coaches, I think Nagy has the advantage. He was under Doug Peterson, so he knows certain little things about Peterson, so he's not going to be surprised about anything he does. You might see trick plays from both sides. That's what they do. So, but I got to pick a winner. Hate to pick Chicago. I would love Chicago to lose. The Packer in me would just love them to lose at home because everybody thinks they're going to win, but the defense is that good. Eddie Jackson was, they said he was hurt, but they said he's playing. If he plays, that's it. He has 7 interceptions, leading the league, and then Kyle Fuller. You know, just the whole defense. Khalil Mack, the other nigga on the end, the tall motherfucker, the Roquan Smith, like, yo, they are motherfucking stacked on defense, and basically all Trubisky has to do is not mess up. And then lately, he's been good at not messing up lately. And, you know, Trubisky can make a few passes. He'll light you up a little bit, too, you know. So as long as they put him in that kind of position where he just doesn't make any mistakes, they should take care of this game. So I'm going to pick Chicago. And it might not be a field goal this one. They might get him by a touchdown. I see the first 3 games going down by field goal, but this one I see touchdown. So that's how I see the wild card weekend. Tough games. I can't wait. I cannot wait. But to recap, I got Indy, Seattle, Chargers, and Chicago. I only picked one home team to win. So that shows you, to me, home field advantage means nothing. Until next time, stay high.
Subscribe, bastards.